How's it going, everyone? This is Kevin. Today I want to bring along with me to talk about why I'm not really happy with the rumored specs for the Sony A7 IV. So let's jump right into it. So as of lately, Sony Alpha Rumors put out a little bit more of a update version of what the rumor specs will be for the Sony A7 IV. This is basically the list so you can see what it is and what you can basically make for yourself to read along. But I'm just going to cover mainly just two of those things that I think are what I wish would be different. I made a video about it recently as well, about how I believe that the Sony A7 IV should have 4K 120, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into all these, nice little specs rumor that they're kind of coming out with and see why I'm not really happy with it so far. When it comes down to shooting the 4K and having the oversampling to 7K, it does sound great in theory, and it's pretty awesome to think that you can get that oversampling for crisper, I guess, footage. But at the same time, to me, that's not really a huge necessity, as in reality, even if they would have kept it at like a 5K oversampling, that's pretty much fine with me. That's not really so much of a over crazy necessity, despite of all that, because I feel like they're trying to overdo it with that aspect just to kind of make up for the fact that they're not going to give us 4K 120, which, as people were kind of talking about in the other video, they're like, well, it can't be an A7S III killer and everything in between. But I honestly think that having 4K 120 should be the bare minimum, and it does not have to be the 10-bit, as I've talked to about that video. If you have not seen it, go check it out. I'll leave it down in the description down below. But one of the main things that they talk about is having the 4K 30 oversample from 7K, and also the 4K 60 oversample from 4.8K, and like the Super 35 mode or something like that, which all should be 10-bit 422, I think, across the board. Now with that, it's not horrible. I think even despite of not having 4K 120, I think this camera will still be phenomenal. But keeping up with what other camera brands have put out already, I think they're kind of holding back into something that would be more beneficial for Sony to kind of go above and beyond, because I highly doubt they're going to be updating this camera for the next 3 to 5 years, and that's kind of on the minimum, since most of these cameras that they've been putting out kind of take a while to have their updated versions. Sometimes they're a little bit faster, sometimes they're not. I mean, look at the A7S II to the A7S III kind of upgrade, as well with the A7 III to the A7 IV now, which to me, I think having the 4K 120, even if it's 8-bit, would be nicer, unless they give us 1080p 10-bit 422 or something along those lines. I'm not really into all the tech to know if that's even possible. But the color grading with shooting slow motion when it comes down to the A7 III, it's a little bit garbage unless you do a certain picture profile that I kind of been using, which you don't get that much dynamic range, because if you use like S-Log footage with slow motion on the A7 III, you get a lot of kind of like fallen apart from it because it's in 1080p and it's obviously already 8-bit color. So that's something that I think would be great for them to really step it up and kind of have that. So with the updated current, like, rumored specs that they've put out, I think on the either today, I think it's it says on the 8th of October, which this is the time that I'm filming this right now. So usually I'll try to put them out as fast as I can after I'm done editing, but just so you know when this was kind of put out, that's just kind of what I'm going with. Is it something that I think it's worth the $2,500 price tag that they're going to be putting compared to what the A7 III was? Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's a phenomenal camera still, having the 33 megapixel new sensor, everything in between, like from that aspect, because they're putting a new revamped one, and then they're having the flip out screen, which most people nowadays kind of really like having in a full frame camera when it comes down for vlogging and a lot of video stuff for different kinds of angles. Now, for me, I think the sensor at 24 was perfectly fine. I like the low light capabilities from it, unless this is going to be some sort of, I guess, new sensor that allows you to have really good low light capabilities even at 33 megapixels. I'm fine with that. I really don't care for having too much extra megapixels. Like I said, I have my A7R III for photos mainly, and I mean the A7 III is a good hybrid for photos still. But my main focus is just that having those 4K 60 10-bit only up to, and then like the oversampling, it's fine, but I'm not really happy with just that, and especially after waiting for so long for the updated version of the A7 III. I think if I'm really going to be kind of moving on from the A7 III, the A7 IV has to have more bang for my buck for what the comparison what the A7 III had. I know the A7S III and the FX3 are a lot, you know, well, a lot better, if you will, and they're going to be like about $1,000 difference, give or take, depending which model you go with, than the A7 IV. But if you're having to incorporate now that they'll have the faster card readers and everything like that for the camera, so that'll be like kind of like the same as the A7S III, because that's a rumor thing, is going to have the same type of body, which is fine with me. It seemed like a great body anyway. The bill starts stacking up, and it's not more like a mid-tier mirrorless camera full frame style. Now it's becoming still more of a pro line, which to me the A7 III was a really good mid-tier full frame mirrorless camera. So that's one of the reasons, and you know, and well, I guess a couple of reasons why I'm not 100% happy with the rumored specs. I'm hoping that closer to the date of launch they'll give us something that is just more wowing than this, or explain further what they're going to be giving us with the slow motion, because not everybody uses 120 frames per second for slow motion, but it is good to have now something upgraded from what the A7 III has. I don't want to just get a little bit better camera than what I'm already having, then I might as well kind of save up more money to get the A7S III, just to kind of get a little bit more with the color grading and then the dynamic range and the slow motion all throughout, up to like 120 frames 4K, and then have the 240 at HD, you know, like that's fine, like if I need to go that slow, because depending on what type of work I want to do. But that's just my opinion. I'm curious to know if you're really happy with this rumor specs, or are you kind of just disappointed if that's going to be the final camera. Would you go ahead and buy it or not? Leave me down below, let me know, comment, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. But you know, I'm just kind of curious to know more people's thought. I really like kind of talking and discussing this kind of gear stuff with you guys, so hopefully you've been enjoying these videos that I've been putting out, and not so much the same usual kind of, you know, going out to shoot or tutorial style, because I want to vary it up as much as possible and just keep having fun with this channel. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, share this video with a friend, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.